Shedeur Sanders, refused to get picked by one team in 2025 NFL Draft. Shedeur Sanders, a fifth-round NFL Draft pick out of Colorado, has not received any playing time early in his career. The Cleveland Browns selected Sanders, a two-year starter at Colorado, on Day 3 of the 2025 NFL Draft. Sanders was initially projected to go on Day 1 or Day 2, perhaps even in the first round. ESPN NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. had Sanders as the #1 quarterback on his big board. But the rest of the league, clearly, was not as high on Sanders as Kiper. He slipped into the 5th round. Sanders, who is QB3 on the Cleveland Browns depth chart, behind veteran Joe Flacco and rookie Dillon Gabriel, will get to watch one of the league's best on Sunday, as his team takes on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. According to ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, the Cleveland Browns were not the only team interested in drafting Sanders. The Baltimore Ravens initially tried to draft Sanders in the 5th round with the number 141 overall pick, league sources told ESPN. However, Sanders blocked the pick. Sanders did not want to sit behind Lamar Jackson. The NFL Draft has always been a stage for drama, bold moves, and franchise-defining moments. But in 2025, the story wasn't just about who went first overall or which team pulled off the biggest trade. It was about one player, Shedeur Sanders, and the one team he refused to let draft him. From the moment Deion Sanders' son declared for the draft, the hype was unavoidable. Shedeur wasn't just another quarterback prospect. He was a name, a legacy, and a face that had been plastered across highlight reels since his Colorado days. Scouts raved about his poise, his accuracy under pressure, and his maturity. To many, he was more than just a first-round quarterback. He was the kind of player who could change the entire trajectory of a franchise. But there was a wrinkle. Rumors had swirled weeks before draft night that Shedeur and his camp were quietly signaling to at least one team, "Don't pick him." The mystery team. It wasn't unusual for quarterbacks to express preferences. John Elway once balked at the idea of playing for the Baltimore Colts. Eli Manning famously refused to suit up for the Chargers. But Shedeur's situation was different. It wasn't about leverage for money or playing time. It was about culture, vision, and legacy. Whispers emerged that one particular franchise, the Las Vegas Raiders, had circled Shedeur as their dream quarterback. They needed a young, marketable star, someone who could not only win games but sell tickets in a city built on spectacle. The Raiders were ready to bet their entire future on Shedeur Sanders. But Shedeur? He wanted no part of it. Draft night drama. The cameras were everywhere, zooming in on Shedeur in his tailored suit, his father by his side, his family smiling. The Raiders were sitting with the 7th overall pick, and analysts were convinced it was happening. Social media buzzed, "Shedeur to Vegas. It's a lock." Then came the moment. The Raiders went on the clock. Inside their war room, executives leaned over draft boards. Some whispered about moving up, some about standing pat. The pick was in. The commissioner took the stage. And then, just before the card could be read, the Raiders' phone rang. It was Shedeur's agent. The message was clear: "Don't do it. He won't play for you." The crowd gasped when the Raiders bypassed the Sanders dream and instead selected a defensive lineman. The cameras panned back to Shedeur, and though he kept his poker face, the internet erupted. He had just pulled off the NFL's newest draft day power move. Why the refusal? Theories spread like wildfire. Some believed it was about football fit. The Raiders, despite their flashy location, hadn't built a stable offensive line in years. Shedeur, known for thriving behind protection, wasn't eager to become the next young quarterback ruined by constant sacks and chaos. Others thought it was about brand. The Sanders name already carried star power. Shedeur and his family reportedly wanted him in a market that would enhance, not overshadow, his identity. In Vegas, where the entertainment industry competes with sports for attention, perhaps Shedeur feared becoming just another show on the Strip. And then there were whispers of legacy. Deion Sanders, prime-time himself, had long preached about aligning purpose with position. Maybe Shedeur didn't just want to play football. He wanted to be the face of a franchise that fit his values. Fallout across the league. The refusal shook the draft order. Teams that thought they had no shot at Sanders suddenly began making calls, scrambling to trade up. Some owners admired his boldness, seeing shades of past legends who had carved their own paths. Others frowned, questioning whether Shedeur's confidence bordered on arrogance. Meanwhile, the Raiders were left scrambling. Their fan base, always passionate, felt jilted. "He doesn't want us," became the trending chant on Vegas sports radio. Some blamed the front office for not selling Shedeur on their vision. Others shrugged it off, saying no quarterback, no matter how talented, was bigger than the Raider shield. The Sanders statement. 2 days later, Shedeur finally addressed the speculation. At a press conference, he didn't call out the Raiders by name, but his words carried weight. "I've worked too hard to just go somewhere that doesn't match what I bring. I want to win. I want to be in an environment that's committed to building, protecting, and believing in their quarterback. This isn't about disrespect, it's about alignment." The statement wasn't a denial. It was a confirmation. History repeats. NFL historians were quick to draw parallels. Elway, Manning, and now Sanders. 3 quarterbacks who understood the leverage of talent and timing. All 3 altered NFL history with one word: no. The Raiders' near miss would be dissected for years. If Shedeur went on to superstardom elsewhere, it would sting even more. If he struggled, critics would say he should have taken any chance to play. But for the Sanders family, the decision fit the brand. They had never been about simply playing the game. They were about controlling the narrative. The team that did get him. By the end of the first round, Shedeur found his home. A franchise that had stability, vision, and an offensive line ready to protect him. Fans erupted when his name was finally called, and the draft's biggest story had its climax. The cameras showed Shedeur hugging his father, tears in his eyes. This wasn't just about football, it was about choosing destiny. Legacy of a refusal. In the years to come, the story of Shedeur Sanders refusing to let one team draft him would be retold like folklore. Some would see it as arrogance. Others would see it as empowerment. But one thing was certain, it added another chapter to the Sanders legacy of boldness and belief. For Shedeur, draft night wasn't just about where he started his NFL journey. It was about proving he had the power to shape it. And in the end, maybe that was the real victory.